I thought maybe I should provide some context for the video that I just created. For reference, I have been weightlifting very heavy for about 6 years now. 2020, 21, yeah, about 6 years now, since 2019. For some reason I'm questioning whether that's 6 years, but it's 2025 now, so 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024, 2020, yeah. So 6 years of weightlifting, and I started incorporating cardio more about 2 years ago. So now I do like hybrid training every day. I do weightlifting and cardio almost every single day. And the diet part, I think most people can attest to the fact that figuring out your diet and what works for you is probably the hardest part of anybody's fitness journey. And I went through a period in high school where I deprived myself way too much. I was only eating 1,200 calories a day, lost my period, lost my hair, was super cold all the time. But because I was never medically underweight, I was never diagnosed with an eating disorder, which I feel some type of way about. That's what they teach you in medical school too. Like, somebody can't have anorexia nervosa if they're not less than this number on the BMI chart. But I think it's more about behaviors and how the patient is feeling. If they're depriving themselves so much that they feel miserable, then that person should be diagnosed with anorexia nervosa before it gets to a point where they're actually putting their life at risk, you know? And their health at risk. I mean, you're already putting your health at risk if you're dieting to that extreme level. So, yeah, that's just my opinion. It took me a while to get through that, but eventually I started eating more. I dropped my vegan diet that I had in that time period, which I'm really glad I did, because in medical school you learn that vegans can develop a vitamin deficiency that can lead to B12 that can lead to permanent neurological damage after a while. You have to not be eating vitamin B12 for years before that happens because your liver stores it, but if I had done it for much longer, I don't know, maybe I would have had permanent neurological damage. So it is important to talk to your doctor before starting any extreme diet where you're cutting out entire food groups because of things like that you would have never thought about otherwise. Anyway, with that said, I finally got to a point where I started eating a lot more. I stopped weighing myself every single day, and then a year down the line or so, I weighed myself for the first time in a long time. And I remember I had gained 20 to 30 pounds, and it was healthy weight because I got my period back. I was so full of energy. I was like actually doing good for my health. But I went to my mom and I cried like all day in the kitchen. I was like, Mom, I'm so much bigger than I was. I hate it. I look bad. And of course I didn't, but that was my perception. And I started trying to eat a little bit healthier, but not really restrict my calories as much as I was, or cut out food groups. Went through a lot of different diet periods where I would try different things, tweak different things. Kind of settled on a diet of roughly 2,000 calories for years and years, a high protein diet of 2,000 calories that seemed to work pretty well for me. And because of that, I didn't really question it for a while. I had lost some weight, built some muscle. I was really happy with the results. and I just didn't question it. But after a while, I was putting myself in a deficit because I am so active that I burn closer to 2,300, 2,500 calories a day. I was putting myself in a bit of a deficit, and when I finally lost the weight, and when you lose weight, you're supposed to kind of add a few calories back, a couple hundred calories back, so that you're no longer in a deficit all the time, but I never brought myself out of that deficit. I just continued to eat 2,000 calories a day and wondered why I was always hungry all the time. And that brings me to the video I just made, which I didn't provide any context for. So here you go. Hello again. Update. I passed my end of module exam for GI, so that's awesome because I failed the mid-mod. And I was very nervous about it, but we're surviving. And in other news, I'm trying to start a reverse diet. I started like a couple weeks ago. Well, first I started by adding healthy fats into my diet, which felt like a huge change in my energy, sleep, even my skin like looks better and heals better, and just like mental clarity all around. I feel like my satiety levels are better. I'm not hungry all the time. So adding fats back into my diet was really good. And then for years and years after I started tracking calories, I just kind of arbitrarily decided to eat 2,000 calories a day without really accounting for my activity levels. And someone my weight who is as active as I am, I strength train for like an hour a day and also run at least 2 miles a day, and I try to get 10,000 steps in. So there's like different types of metabolic rates that you can calculate. There's your basal metabolic rate, which is what you would burn if you did absolutely nothing all day except lay in bed. It's like the bare minimum of what you need. And then there's your resting metabolic rate, your RMR, which is what you would burn if you were just doing your normal thing all day, eating. It accounts for the calories you burn when you eat, when you walk around your house, when you talk to people. So it's about 300 calories above what your basal metabolic rate is, and that's just a regular rest day, where you're not completely confined to your bed. And then you have the total daily energy expenditure, which is what you burn including exercise. So my basal metabolic rate is about 1,400 calories, and then if you add 300 to that, it goes up to about 1,700 if I just take a rest day from the gym. But when you add on an hour-long heavy lifting session plus running plus 10,000 steps, I'm burning like at least 2,200, sometimes up to 2,500 calories a day, and yet for years I was only eating 2,000 calories a day, and I was wondering why I always felt hungry. So I've started to add on about 100 calories per week, and I've noticed that I'm actually full after I eat. Like at the end of the day, I'm full. I don't want to eat anymore. I do feel a little bit bloated, and I think it's just because my body's getting used to the extra calories. And there's something called non-exercise energy thermogenesis, I believe. Let me double check what it's called. It's NEAT. It's what people call NEAT. Non-exercise energy thermogenesis. Activity thermogenesis, sorry. Non-exercise activity thermogenesis. And basically the theory is if you reverse diet, you have a little bit of extra energy and you'll just like passively move more often. You'll like fidget, twitch, and because you have a little bit more energy, you are burning a little bit more calories. So it kind of balances out, but I just want to have more energy throughout the day to think, because I'm in medical school, so I want to like think clearly. I want to have enough energy to go on walks and not feel tired all the time. I don't want to wake up in the middle of the night hungry. So yeah, I think this has been a really good change, and it's nice to know that in the past when I was trying to become fit and lose a little bit of weight, I was putting myself in a deficit and feeling hungry, because that's what happens when you're in a deficit, you feel hungry. Now that I'm not actively trying to lose any weight, I'm just trying to maintain and recomp. It's kind of nice to add on some calories in my day and see that my natural hunger cues are actually working properly. I will say I stopped using as many artificial sweeteners, even though they don't cause cancer, nothing like that. Like, that's a myth. They can alter your gut microbiome a little bit, and if you're sensitive, you can have diarrhea, and they can, if you have diarrhea, that affects nutrient absorption, and they also definitely activate the reward pathway in your brain. So even though you're not technically eating sugar, you crave sweet things more. And I definitely experienced that in the past. I was a kid who did not like sweet things at all. Like, my parents would bring donuts home and I would say no thank you, because I just didn't like sweet things. Never did. Never liked. I was the kid who would always get a second portion of dinner instead of dessert. So, but then I started trying to diet in high school and started using artificial sweeteners, and all of a sudden I started craving sweet things all the time. And it got to a point where I was eating like 0-calorie artificial sweeteners in protein powder mug cakes for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and that's all I would eat. And obviously that's, even though that's high protein technically and 0 sugar, so on some levels it's healthy, it's not sustainable, and I was depriving myself of other micronutrients, which are also very important. You need micronutrients, not just macronutrients. So yeah, this is the first time in my life after doing my gastrointestinal unit in medical school. It's like the first time I've really, truly understood and appreciated the value of having carbs, fats, and proteins in your diet, and also a variety of food to ensure that you're getting all of the micronutrients you need. And also how important it is to eat when you're hungry and stop when you're full, because at least when you're at a weight that is healthy, it's a little bit harder to listen to your hunger cues when you're metabolically in a dysfunctional metabolic state, because if you're overweight or obese, you're naturally going to crave more food because you have more cells in your body to fuel. But the problem is you don't want all that adipose tissue in your body, because it can clog up your organs, it can lead to metabolic associated liver disease and atherosclerosis, sorry, I can't pronounce things. But there are other ramifications of having too much fat in your body. And in that case, it can be helpful to track your calories and put yourself in a small deficit and over time lose that weight. But when you lose it, assuming you adopted a healthier lifestyle, are eating fiber, are getting enough protein, are incorporating healthy fats, your natural hunger signals should tell you when you're hungry and when you're full, notwithstanding external cues. Like if you really crave donuts, if you love donuts, then the smell of donuts can make you hungry even when you are technically full. So it's about eliminating or minimizing the amount of external cues you get that encourage you to go after the foods that you're trying to avoid. I'm trying to think of something I used to crave a lot. I used to love mac and cheese and cheese in general. I love that stuff. It helped me to just stop buying as much cheese, and I replaced it with things that tasted kind of like cheese, like hummus. And then I started exploring other healthier options besides hummus, and cheese kind of became less of a craving for me after a while. When you expand your palate and explore other food choices, healthier food choices, your cravings kind of change. Now I crave healthy things a lot of the time. So anyway, that was a really disjointed and disorganized rant, but I hope my experience has maybe shed some light on maybe somebody else's experience. I'm at a point in my life now where I don't really care I used to, all I cared about was becoming as small as possible. I'm at a point in my life now where, of course, I still care how I appear. I care about my appearance. I think most people do on some level. But I'm in a healthy, loving relationship. I have a fiance who loves me no matter what, and he's very fit. I try to stay fit too, and I'm more concerned with living a healthy lifestyle so that our kids have a positive influence to look up to later on. And I think my appearance will follow my healthy lifestyle behaviors. It's not so much about forcing my body into a box, it's about nourishing my body so that it treats me well, and so that I feel comfortable and confident in it. And I want to be strong, I want to be healthy, I don't want to be weak and tired all the time. So I used to be so upset when the scale got above 140 pounds. I was devastated. Of course, the last time I weighed less than 140 pounds was when I was in high school. I was really young, not fully matured yet, and I'm sorry, but women have to store their fat somewhere. Women need to have healthy fat in order to sustain a healthy hormone balance. As much as we, as women, are told we need to be skinnier, it's really important for us to have a little bit of fat on us. And we look healthier and we function better and we have more energy when we do have a little bit of fat on us. So yeah, now I'm a lot more comfortable with my body, especially because my fiance is not concerned with my weight at all, even though I can be sometimes, but I'm getting a lot better about it, and I'm proud of myself for overcoming that. Because it was a hard thing for me for a very long time, but growth, woo! Love to see it. Anyway, signing off now.